Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a Supreme Court case in 1983. And I think that this is very important. You're going to want to know about this if you owe debt collections. This is something that you're going to want to hear about what I'm going to talk about with this landmark case. Please like this video. This is going to be a very short video. I'm going to get straight to the point. And this case was over an individual being arrested because of a debt that is owed. Now, you might be saying, well, what does this have to do from 1983 to what we're going through right now? The first part that I want to let you know about is that it was a 5-4 decision. That means that 4 of the Supreme Court justices believed at that time that an individual could be arrested and put in jail over a debt. So as I read through this, I want you to just think about this. This is the situation that this individual found themselves in. And while we're getting set for the video, please like this video. We need to get more people knowing about this information. I'm giving you information that is on record, but it's not widely known. So now, imagine losing your freedom not because you committed a crime, but because you couldn't afford to pay a fine. That's exactly what happened to Danny Bertman in 1983. And his case would go all the way up to the Supreme Court for justice. Today, we're diving into this landmark case for Braden versus Georgia and how it changed the legal landscape for millions of low-income Americans that were dealing with debts that they could not pay. So, in the early 1980s, Danny Braitman was convicted of burglary and theft in Georgia. The court sentenced him to probation, but it came with the condition. He had to pay a $750 fine and restitution. At first, he managed to pay $200, but after losing his job, he couldn't keep up with the payments, and instead of offering alternatives like community service or modifying his probation, the court revoked his probation and sentenced him to prison. Now, you might be saying, I didn't commit any crimes, I didn't do anything like this situation with this individual. Keep listening, because when you understand the law that was used, you will see that there are similarities to what is going on right now with dealing with debt collectors. And we have a Supreme Court that could flip this. All it was, if they had 2 votes the other way, it would have been flipped. And this would have set a precedence for individuals who could not pay their debt. Because see, you're focusing right now on the probation. No, that's like just a part of this. The fine, not being able to pay the fine. So don't get trapped and sideswiped by this individual having probation. That's not the part of the case. So pay attention. So now, as I move forward, Bearden argued that he wasn't refusing to pay. He simply couldn't. His inability to pay wasn't a matter of willful neglect, but of genuine financial hardship. Despite this, the Georgia courts upheld his imprisonment, and Breeden decided to fight back. So now, Breeden's case made it to the Supreme Court. The central question, can a person be imprisoned solely because they were unable to pay a fine or restitution, even if their inability to pay was beyond their control because he had lost his job? In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that in Burden's favor. The court stated that revoking probation and imprisonment for failure to pay without first considering their inability to pay violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, which is on the liberal side, writing for the majority, made it clear to deprive a probationer of his conditional freedom simply because through no fault of their own he could not pay a fine is contrary to the fundamental fairness required by the 14th Amendment. The court emphasized that before imprisoning someone, judges must determine whether the failure to pay was willful or if alternative means like extending payment deadlines or offering community service could address the issue fairly. So why is this case so important? Because it established that poverty is not a crime. It protected low-income individuals from being punished more harshly simply because of the lack of financial means to comply with court orders. A judgment is a court order. A judgment is a court order. Since Breeden versus Georgia, the principle has been a cornerstone in cases involving court fines, and even bail reform. It's a simple reminder that justice could be blind to wealth and fairness should be for everyone, not just the privileged few. Breeden's case was a victory, but the fight for equal justice isn't over. What do you think about this? Should there be more reforms and fairness for low-income individuals in the justice system? I want you to drop in the comments. Number one, what do you think about this? What do you think about this case? What do you think about what the Supreme Court that we have right now? A lot of you post comments in the comment box making statements like, well, big business is going to be able to do what they want to do. They just run over people. It's all just about money. And some of the court rulings that have came out have been anti-consumer. So what do you think about this? And the next thing is, what are you going to do to not have yourself in these types of situations? We talk about it all the time on this channel. What are you doing about your credit? What are you doing about your debt? What are you doing about collections that you have? What are you doing about unresolved issues if you have judgments? What are you doing about those? Are you taking proactive actions? Because what you don't want to do is wake up one morning and a court case has been dropped, and all of a sudden, instead of a 5-4 decision based in the favor of debtors, that there's a 5-4 decision based in the favor of creditors and debt collectors who want to bring the hammer down on people who can't pay. So give me your thoughts on that, but also let me know what you're planning on doing about your situation. And as always, if you need help with your credit, please feel free to visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion and Equifax and Experian credit reports. That's your, Y-O-U-R, and the number 3, scores.com. If you have debt collectors coming after you early in the game, grab my 3-pack of letters. Set your limitations letter, debt validation letter, and cease and desist collected activities letter. Use the one that's appropriate for your situation. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments, like this video. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.